Welcome to the Invergordon service base, which is a multi-user facility owned and operated by the Port of Cromarty Firth. We have prepared this brief induction film for your safety and security, so please give it your full attention. We have a dedicated team responsible for the coordination and management of the facilities at the service base and Saltburn Pier, who are based between the Port Office and the service base facilities offices. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any issues while working on our premises. It is imperative that everybody works together. Communication and coordination is essential in ensuring safe working within the port. Access to the service base is only permitted to those who have a Port of Cromarty Firth access pass, which will be issued after the induction. Please carry your pass at all times while on the premises. When entering or exiting the service base on foot, please use your access card to swipe through the turnstiles provided. You must not attempt to enter the facility other than through the authorised access points. Authorised vehicles can access the service base through the main gate only. Contractors operating on the service base may take company liveried vehicles on site, provided the driver holds an access pass. Any other vehicles must have a valid vehicle pass provided by the Port of Cromarty Firth. While on site, you should only park in designated areas and never on any roads, walkways or in front of access gates. Be mindful not to hinder any port operations or emergency vehicle routes. When parking outside the facility, please use the car parks provided, ensuring vehicles are parked responsibly and not causing nuisance to nearby properties. The Port of Cromarty Firth operated under the International Ship and Port Facilities Security Code, or ISPS code. This lays down the regulations governing security for those countries with shipping fleets and ports. All security measures put in place and actions taken are based on an internationally recognised system of maritime security levels. The main gate is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and recorded CCTV is in operation at all times. During specific vessel operations, additional security measures may be required in accordance with international regulations. Please be aware that all entrance to the facility may be subject to random searches at any time. Please obey all instructions and follow the direction of port security staff. Each one of us has a direct personal interest in effective security. We should never hesitate to report anything or anyone we think is suspicious, whether we see something on shore or on the water side of a ship or notice something outside the port. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Report it and trust your instincts. The security of the port is everybody's business. The Invergordon service base is an extremely busy area which can give rise to an assortment of potential hazards, including traffic movement, in particular HGVs and forklift trucks, falls into water, slips, trips and falls, noise and dust, lifting operations, dropped objects, electricity, hot works, radiography, pressure testing. All contractors working on the service base are responsible for their own operations and for all aspects of health and safety connected with their project and operational areas. It is vital that you are familiar with the content of the risk assessments and any method statements or operating procedures for the job you are being asked to do. While working on the service base, please be aware of others working on the site. Stay out of any areas you are not authorised to be in and obey all signs and barriers. While within the Invergordon service base and Saltburn Pier, high visibility clothing must be worn at all times, provided you remain solely on the pedestrian walkways and crossing points. Any deviation from the pedestrian routes requires the wearing of a hard hat and safety footwear, along with high visibility clothing and any additional PPE required by your task risk assessment or employer. High visibility clothing must meet BSEN 20471 Class 2 or 3 and be CE marked. There are vehicles and plant moving around the premises all the time. Take care both when driving and as a pedestrian. Pedestrian safe walkways have been clearly marked red to provide safe access to and from main work areas. Please use these along with the designated crossing points at all times. Drivers should always be mindful of pedestrians and must give way to them at marked crossing points. The Road Traffic Act is applicable within the premises and all signs and markings must be obeyed accordingly. Please follow these basic traffic rules at all times. 10 miles an hour speed limit, keep to the left-hand side of the road, mobile devices must not be used when driving, do not overtake moving traffic, seat belts, where fitted, must be worn at all times, all loads being transported within the site must be secured, passengers are not to be carried in vehicles and plant not designed to do so, banksmen must be used for guiding, vehicles or plant must never be left unattended or idling, and keys must be removed when not in use. The management of all work on site must be controlled by the facility user in control of the work or work area. Due to the multi-user nature of the facility, there are various activities which require a Port of Cromarty Firth issued permit, while other activities require the facility user managing the work to issue their own permit but notify Port of Cromarty Firth of the operation. Furthermore, some operations do not require to be managed under a permit system but require notification to be made to the Port of Cromarty Firth. Full details can be found in the health, safety and environmental guidelines for all facility users. When using any plant and equipment on the facility, you must ensure that it is in a safe and serviceable condition and must be appropriately certified and tested where necessary. You must only operate plant and equipment if you are trained, competent and authorised to do so. All forklift trucks must display the relevant licence at all times whilst operating on the premises. Lifting operations are frequently ongoing throughout the service base. Before conducting any lifts, a lift plan and risk assessment must be carried out, and where heavy lifting operations are planned, you should obtain advanced approval from the Port of Cromarty Firth. All cranes must display a crane licence to gain entry onto site. You must never enter an area where lifting operations are being undertaken unless you are authorised to be there, and you should never walk under a suspended load. Life jackets must be worn when working or standing within 2 metres of the quay edge, or if you are working on or over the water. When working overside, a certified safety boat must be standing by. Stay clear of cargo handling and mooring operation at the quayside. All mobile plant and vehicles should remain clear of pier edges and be operated with extreme caution when working on the quayside, and must not be left unattended. In the event of someone falling into the water, life buoys are located at strategic positions along the quayside, along with ladders on quay walls to facilitate recovery from water. When working at height, ensure the appropriate equipment and control measures as identified in the risk assessment are in place to prevent falls and dropped objects. Any equipment used for work at height must be properly inspected and maintained by the facility user. If you wish to use temporary electrical supplies on site, you must have approval from the Port of Cromarty Firth Facilities Supervisor. The provision of any power supply may only be undertaken by competent persons approved by the Port of Cromarty Firth. Portable generators may only be used in well-ventilated areas and must be silenced. Only 110 volt transformers and portable electrical tools rated 110 volts should be used. All portable electrical equipment must be in a safe and serviceable condition, be PAT tested and fit for the purpose for which it's to be used. You must ensure all precautions have been taken to prevent a fire from starting and have suitable firefighting equipment readily available. Smoking is only permitted in designated smoking areas, and cigarette ends must be disposed of in the bins provided. If you notice a fire when you are out on site, dial 999 and report to Main Gate Security if safe to do so. Then make your way to the assembly point. All dangerous substances entering the port must be declared in advance to the duty manager. Any hazardous substances being used must be accompanied with the relevant safety data sheet and COSH assessment detailing the precautions to be taken for use, storage and disposal. Refuelling of mobile plant may require a bunkering and oily substance transfer permit. Drip trays must be used for refuelling all plant, and only double-skinned bowsers should be used to transport fuel. Spill kits should be readily available. The Cromarty Firth has an international ecological importance. Where a facility user's work or services is likely to impact on the environment, the effect of the proposed activities shall be considered in respect to the site and its locality, such that adverse effects may be identified, evaluated, and mitigating action taken accordingly. It is imperative that no hazardous substances are discharged into the Firth or drains on the service base. Any accidental release of hazardous substances in the service base or Firth must be contained where possible and reported immediately to Port Radio on 01349 852 308 so that effective clean-up measures can be implemented. Any work in confined spaces must be suitably assessed and controlled under a permit to work system implemented by the contractor managing the work. You should never enter a confined space without a permit to work. All signs and barriers around the service base must be complied with. Please do not obstruct signage with vehicles, plant or equipment. Facility users are responsible for erecting all additional safety signs required to warn employees and other facility users of any hazards associated with any specific project area. Temporary signs and barriers must be removed when the work is complete. Signs are not permitted on the perimeter fence unless agreed with the Port of Cromarty Firth. Alcohol and non-prescriptive drugs are not permitted or tolerated within Port of Cromarty Firth premises at any time. Personnel are prohibited from bringing onto our premises any drugs, alcohol or other intoxicating substance. Anyone suspected or found to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol will be removed immediately and reported to their employer. The police will be informed of any persons caught in possession of drugs or other illegal substances. If you are taking any prescription medication, please inform your supervisor, as this may impair your ability to work safely. Toilets and welfare facilities have been provided for your use. Please use them in an appropriate manner, as vandalism and mistreatment are not acceptable. We do not tolerate any form of violence or aggression towards any of our staff and will report any such acts to the police. An untidy worksite creates a variety of hazards such as fires, slip, trip and fall, and also encourages vermin. Ensure your rubbish is disposed of correctly. Do not leave cables trailing or equipment blocking access routes, and clean up spills immediately. All waste must be disposed of in the appropriate waste skips and bins available within your working area. All skips must be either closed or fitted with a net to discourage vermin. Special waste must be disposed of as per the SEPA guidelines. No waste of any description may be dumped into the Firth or the quayside. We encourage the reduction and recycling of waste materials. Every effort must be made to reduce the disturbance and nuisance to other facility users and to the residential properties located in close proximity to the service base. As such, you must not undertake any work which will result in the discharge of dust or fumes into the environment. If an inadvertent discharge occurs, you must stop work immediately and report the incident to your supervisor. Noise also causes disruption to nearby residents, so try to reduce noise emissions as much as possible by using white noise reversing alarms, silence plant and equipment, and by conducting noisy operations during permitted hours only. Before starting work, ensure you familiarise yourself with the emergency action to take for your work area, particularly how to raise the fire alarm, where the fire exits and assembly points are located, who your first aiders are, and the location of first aid points. Where an incident requires notification to the emergency services, please ensure Port Radio is informed immediately so that we can facilitate access for emergency services and implement our procedures where appropriate. If you have an accident or incident, however minor, you must report it to your employer immediately. This is essential so that action may be taken to prevent reoccurrence. If you see a hazard, report it and get something done about it. Don't leave it as a hazard. You can report directly to your supervisor or any Port of Cromarty Firth member of staff. Everybody who works on the service base in Saltburn Pier is responsible and accountable for their own safety and the safety of those around them, and therefore are empowered to stop any work that is considered unsafe. We trust that while on site you will follow the Port of Cromarty Firth rules and guidelines, and you will adhere to and work within the requirements of your employer's health and safety systems.